Welcome everybody to a special edition of Make It Make Sense. I'm so thankful for you joining us. I am thankful for you being here with us. I'm thankful, frankly, that you're still here and alive and hopefully doing the Lord's work somewhere, somehow. But if you have been under a rock, then I'm talking to you when I say that a day ago, this administration, Trump got his war, y'all, because he directed the military to execute strikes on nuclear sites. I sound like George Bush right there. Ugh. Not nuclear, but nuclear sites in Iran, 3 of them. And what happened because of that? The jury is out. What we need to do now because of that, the jury is out. How we got here, the jury is out, because I remember this conversation, this discussion of what we should do about Iran. I remember that back to GW and before GW to just George. That was a Bridgerton reference, but whatever. Many presidents have tried to figure this out, have been unable to do so, but we're here now. And this president, the madman y'all elected, has gone ahead, pulled the trigger. And now he says we've obliterated Iran's capacity for nuclear weapons. Is that true? I don't know. He says, Marco Rubio says, Pete Hegseth, the Fox News / reality TV star, says, oh, nothing left. And then in the same conversation, they also say, but if there is anything left to do, it will be quick. They say that we have dramatically decreased the likelihood of a threat of nuclear weapons from Iran. What we can all agree on is Iran should not have nuclear weapons. What I think none of us can agree on is the what, the where, the when, the how of getting rid of them. That's why 4 prior administrations had the same capabilities and did not do this act, including Trump the first term. But that's the extent of my knowledge. I promise you all, when I don't know everything, I bring somebody else in who does. And tonight, that's Dr. Nola Haynes. She is a national security expert, PhD, Georgetown professor, analyst on Roland Martin Unfiltered and other places. And you know what? She's a friend of the show because this is not her first, her 4th, or 15th time being with us. Can you please help me welcome Dr. Nola? Hand claps for Dr. Nola. I love you, girl. I love you so much. And
Hey,
thank you for being willing to come on tonight on such a serious night. I'm thankful that I am also able to converse with you direct one-on-one, but also in our million chats where we talk. And so I know that, frankly, I'm gonna say this, you might disagree with me, but I'm gonna say this, and then this is where our conversation can start. In the past 24 hours, I feel like you've been the calmest you've ever been in terms of delivering information and analysis since I've known you, because you told us all of this. You told us every last bit of this was coming. And so I felt like when we were all on our million chats, we're not going to say where the chats are, we're not going to talk about it tonight, but when we were all on our group chats, like, you were like, oh, okay, I'm going to give you what I said 3 days ago. I'm going to give you what I said 30 days ago. I'm going to give you what I said 2 months ago, and you just let us sit with it, because for people like you who are national security experts, we knew this was coming.
Absolutely. And this isn't my first war rodeo. I got my training wheels during Ukraine and Russia, and that was my major introduction to national media. So I really had to learn how to, first of all, if I keep calm, people that are watching and listening are going to keep calm. I cannot tell you how many text messages I received last night, how many DMs I received from typically very calm and rational people, very worried about World War III. And I just remember, I just heard my mama's voice in my head, like, baby girl, you were meant for this moment. Like you were that person. So, being called to do this in many ways, which is a very strange ministry to have, I understand that keep it calm, and offering detail and facts is what's needed right now and not hysteria.
Right, right. Absolutely. Keep it calm. But in the keep it calm, there's some real ish going on, Nola. And you and I have been on so many shows at the same time, same place, in the same studio, where you've talked about, but what if this happens? But what if that happens? And I'm recalling an election night not so long ago where you were talking about the difference between having someone in power who recognizes the international threats, the global threats that affect our domestic security, and having somebody who doesn't. Please explain.
Absolutely. So one of the way that a lot of this is divided is, you have domestic policy, you have foreign policy, and there are certain people who are made for foreign policy, and there are certain people who aren't made for foreign policy. But it really takes a certain level of not just understanding policy in and of itself. It takes a level of understanding history. It takes a level of understanding culture and religion on top of strategy, on top of, uh, military endeavors that have been positive, that have been negative. Why? Foreign policy requires so many layered skill sets. And this administration simply do not possess that depth of knowledge, that depth of history, because history is very important to all of this, especially when we're talking about the Middle East, right? And I also would like to offer a little bit of history for your audience in terms of the president that actually did get Iran under check in 2015, and how Trump won. The first administration came back in 2018 to undo the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which is also known as JCPOA, or the Iran nuclear deal. Um, Trump one thought they knew better than the Obama administration, and so they undid the deal. And that is how we are here today.
Right. And so here's what I want to say. And I don't want to go here so soon because we're just starting, but there's no question in my mind at this point, because now we're in Trump 2, right? That they didn't undo the deal because it was a bad deal. They didn't undo the deal because they would get a better deal. They undid the deal because Obama did the deal. And they are against anything us, anything Black, anything that is anything other than them. And so they thought that they could move forward with something better. And I mean, the level at which they failed, Dr. Nola,
Mm-hmm.
is it's a little staggering, in that they promised the minute we are in office, we will by mediation, we will by negotiation, we will settle all things, and people bought that.
Mm-hmm.
People bought it hook, line, and sinker, who didn't want us to be in any more wars. And now those same people are, some of them very public, with millions of people in their streams and in their following, but some of them private are saying, wait a minute, you promised us we wouldn't be in another war.
Absolutely. And so much of what Trump historically does, since he slid down that elevator in 2015, is
Wait, Nola, did you say slid?
I said slid down that old slimy elevator in 2015.
Did he
Um,
slide? I don't know that he's capable of sliding. I feel as though you're giving him some
he
things.
swarmed.
Oh, I like that. That's a
He
smart lady word.
swarmed down the
Swarmed.
escalator.
Yes.
Nothing that they ever tell their people is the truth. Their slogans, their talking points. If you notice, there's never a plan. There's never a solution other than, oh no, it was terrible. It was awful. Okay, how was it terrible? How was it awful? Could you have made it better? No, what you did was you completely walked away from that plan, from that deal, and then you slapped crippling economic sanctions on Iran. That was your solution. And again, all of that adds up. All of this is addition. All of this is addition. And what is on the other side of the equal sign is now you have a situation where Russia, in many ways, is kind of forced to get involved because they have a strategic partnership that they signed in January with Iran that covers energy, defense, counterterrorism, and then you have China who has a stake in all of this because they get most of their gas and crude oil from Iran, and they typically they align with Russia on a lot of things, and this is one of the areas to which Beijing aligns with Russia and Iran. So you have this potential not just for this regional instability, but you were talking about some very big global powers. Like I keep saying, Iran has friends.
Okay. So I pause here because they're trying to make us believe that we could be a one and done on these strikes. And it's obvious to me, though it may not be to others, that even while they're saying it, even while Trump was saying it, he said, and if you don't, then we'll have to, right? And then Marco Rubio is coming out and saying, we have greatly crippled them, which is different than what his boss said, which is that we obliterated them. And so it's obvious to me that where the science is concerned, and maybe you can help people understand that, we sent these 30,000 ton bombers and they went down, 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 down.
Bunker
And we
busters.
may not be able to see anything on top, but they went down and they went out. But they may have just opened up a space. So we might have to go down in again in order to finish the job. And they don't want anybody to know that. That's my first thing. But then my second thing is we are at a point now where people are trying to figure out, okay, they did it the wrong way, but maybe it was a good thing. What is the threat level to us?
So regarding the bunker busters,
The bunker busters, yes.
there was all the intelligence always said that it was unclear if they would work completely. And as we've seen in the aftermath, they have not worked completely. And to
Well,
think that,
at least according to what our intelligence knows.
well, and there's also a lot of public reporting today coming out about that too. Specifically regarding Fordo is where the main concern was the main nuclear facility that people were concerned. There has been damage, but it is not obliterated. And then from what my understanding is, some of the things were already moved out of that facility. So to your introduction and your earlier point, they knew we were coming because this is a loud administration. So
No,
in
they
terms of
posted it on Truth
effectiveness,
Social. They
hmm?
knew because the president said on Truth Social, right? But the thing is, like, whatever they moved out, well, this was going to be my fourth question, but whatever they moved out, I want people to understand what the threat levels are and are not for us here in the United States. But go ahead, explain.
So The second part of this, the second part of your question is regarding the Secretary of State. So not only do you hear a little bit different things from Hegseth, from Rubio, from Trump, and of course Trump is going to be the most biggest beautiful thing ever you ever seen. Okay, boo, dial that down a little bit. Now you have Rubio on television asking China to intervene regarding the Strait of Hormuz because, like I said, told everybody on Rolling on Friday, that 19 million barrels of crude oil and gas passes through the Strait of Hormuz. So that is going to upset the global market in terms of oil and gas. And it doesn't even matter that we get a lot of our, we get a lot of our oil and gas from our trading partners like Canada. It is going to cause global upset. We're already seeing an uptick even before last night in gas prices, and that's just from the market being anxious about what's going to happen. So now it's happened. In terms of threat level, several things. So one of the things that I've been concerned with, well, and you know this from day one of the things I've been concerned with has been exogenous threats and endogenous threats in terms of like domestic terrorism threats and then also exterior terrorism threats. We've made quite a few enemies over the years. And in this last round of enemies, Trump policy people have been involved with a lot of bad decision making. And so I understand the folks that are saying something had to be done about Iran, something had to be done about Iran. The director of the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, made it very clear. He's done a lot of media rounds today. They came out with a report saying that Iran was enriching at a faster pace and at a much higher rate than the agreed upon 5%. The number, what I'm hearing, is about 60%. That is dangerous territory. However, the report also said there was no evidence from their inspection that they actually had a weapon. So
because they didn't have it.
They didn't have it. So a few things
because
can happen.
They didn't have it.
Now they might hurry and rush to get one.
Well, I think now what may happen is somebody may just give them one.
Or maybe that. Or maybe that. What I'm saying is we did not make a lot of friends with this move, which is why they're out doing the rounds today. They're trying to convince people that this was the right thing to do. And again, there are reasons why I would say the international security situation with Iran was a growing threat, a pacing threat, and the last administration knew that very well. But how it was handled,
I think the last 3 administrations knew that, Nola.
Absolutely.
Including
even Israel since the 90s.
The last Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
I think they knew that very well, that it was a growing threat. I don't think anybody who's even just, catching Newsweek here and there or reading, the Daily Mail, whatever way they're getting their news, I don't think there's anybody who would say that Iran getting full-fledged nuclear power would be a good thing. I don't think anybody would say that. So everybody who desires peace is in agreement that they should not have or should not be able to reach that level. But what I'm concerned about is that because we have done the hurry up, because we have rushed things along, that now for our troops who are abroad,
Yes.
for our locations that are abroad, we are in a significant threat. And then there are many people who are worried about whether we should be concerned at home, whether that concern is terror or whether that concern is actual strikes from abroad. Can you let us know what the threats are?
So today, DHS, they issued a very soft warning that there could be low-level Iran hacktivist threats inside of the United States. So cybersecurity is always under threat, but considering what happened, the threat level has been raised.
Say that again, Nola, because people don't know what hacktivist means. No, I'm just being serious. Like I'm tracking you as you're saying it, because people in my chats and in online, I see people saying we're sitting ducks, right? That they are going to come back against us and come back hard. And I'm thinking, well, they don't have a nuclear program. They had a nuclear enriching program, which we have weakened if we have not destroyed, taken nothing away from Trump. We did that, whether it was wise or not. It looks like that has happened. So I'm concerned about troops that are abroad, stations and bases that are abroad, et cetera, all of our plants, et cetera, abroad. But people are thinking that they can actually just send missiles over here and blow us up. I believe that that's not correct. You can correct me if that's wrong, but then also there are concerns about increased terror threats at home and an alert for that at home, because if they can't reach all the way from Iran and get to the United States with a bomb, then there are other things they can do. Tell us.
So a hacktivist is an activist hacker, and in certain parts of the country, hacking is efficient and it is a great way to attack a country, mostly because it's cheap. It's one tool that Russia leans on a great deal. Now, all the things that you just said, absolutely worried about, our bases around the world. Are our troops safe? I think by now they have enough. They have enough warning to start preparing for something like that. What I think about are the other actors. What I think about is how will Russia respond? What will Russia and China collectively do, possibly? So it's there are these direct things, cyber hacking, danger to our troops, the price of gas rising, but it doesn't stop there. I want to just provide a little bit of context because a lot of people are having a hard time understanding what else is going on beyond just trying to get rid of Iran's nuclear program. Like, why and why now? I am not one of those people who I think, oh, this is a distraction, is kind of a lazy thing to always say. There are certain things that are going on here. Pete Hegseth said the first thing this morning is that U.S. deterrence is back. Now, deterrence is typically in opposition to diplomacy, which is what most administrations believe in. And regarding Iran and Israel, American presidents have intervened over time to keep Israel at bay from not enacting the plan that they did last week. Okay, so what's going on here? You have Israel possibly wanting to do some sort of regime change in Iran that's more friendly to Israel. And then you have the United States seeing an opportunity. Well, then maybe we can control the gas and oil reserves if Israel becomes the regional hegemon. It's a lot deeper than trying to make sure that Iran doesn't get weapons of mass destruction. So this is going to play out over time. I just wanted to lay out that context because, again, it goes deeper than what happened last night.
Okay, so please explain to us, because you mentioned it. I want to say and flag you, not just because you're my girl, but because you were right. The minute this happened, in the midst of everything else that people were talking about, you said fill your tanks with gas, because the first thing that they may do is try to, or vote to, or take efforts to close the strait that the gas runs through, so that we are hogtied, and so that gas prices run up and up and up and up. Now, I know from some American companies that do business the other way through Europe, they're excited, but they're excited for their personal bottom line. Explain to us what you're saying is going to happen shortly. And I want to just say the latest news is, yes, Parliament has voted, and yes, the Parliament in Iran has said that they want to close it by whatever means that might be, blowing it up, whatever. But we are still unclear on a timeline of when that will happen. But explain to us why you knew that that was next and what it means, because it seems that that is the one surefire way of launching a responsive attack against the United States?
Well, it's typical international relations in terms of the way a way of seeing the world through a very realist lens. Most countries are not going to enter into an agreement unless they have a trigger to pull. And in Iran's case, their trigger to pull has always been this passageway, right? They
That's always been.
understand.
Well, no, you went out. Say it again.
Which part? The whole thing?
No, has always been, and then it went out.
Oh, right. Has always been the Strait of Hormuz, right? It has
Yes.
always been that passage between Iran and Oman. That's always been their golden ticket that they've been sitting on, where they can pull that trigger. Like, oh, okay, you want to come for us, you want us to do A, B, C, and D. Well, guess what? We're going to do this. Now, it's an extreme lever to pull because it affects the United States. It doesn't directly affect the United States the way it affects China, right? But we will feel the consequences of that straight closing. And why will we feel that? Because the market will get anxious, right? Even if OPEC comes in and fills some sort of gap, we are going to feel the consequences.
Tell us how much goes through there.
19 million barrels a day. And Iran produces somewhere between 2 billion barrels a day. But through that particular passageway, it's 19 million barrels a day that goes through there, both crude oil and gas.
And it's almost worse to me, Nola, even if we are not directly affected, China being directly affected is bad. Russia
Absolutely.
caring about what happens is bad. And so I saw when you said that to us well before the decision had been made. And I was sharing your information with everybody. If you guys are not following Nola, Dr. Nola Haynes, follow her everywhere. But okay, we've talked long enough for today. Tell us, please, what is it we can do? Because I'm going to talk just for a couple of minutes. Well, I can do it with you here, actually. I'm going to talk about the political consequences and the legal consequences. But what is it? Because people feel like sitting ducks. What is it that you think people can do about the situation that we're in?
Thank you for asking that question. So I am not one that's running around thinking it's going to be World War III. I actually felt that we were closer to World War III when Russia invaded Ukraine, just because the echoes of history. And that's a whole other situation that's bubbling with Russia. It's a whole escalated situation. The reason why I feel less that this is a World War III situation is if you think of the 5 countries that are ostensibly involved: the United States, Iran, Israel, China, Russia. Iran cannot afford a long-term World War III type war. Israel cannot afford a long-term World War III war. Okay, Russia cannot afford a long-term World War III war because they're already engaged in war in Ukraine, and perhaps that actually there's some updates there. So in terms of just raw cost, Israel's having a hard time maintaining their defenses. The Iron Dome isn't performing, and it's expensive. Iran, yes, they do have still some ballistic missiles left in their ballistic missile program. But again, they are struggling economically, and they have been for years due to sanctions. So while I think this will get messy, I don't know what that's going to look like. But I want to be very clear to your audience tonight, Monique. Wars are very expensive. And one of the things that Netanyahu wanted to do was make this quick, get in and get out. Why get in and get out? Because he don't have the money, nor does he have the credibility in his own country. So these are some of the reasons why I am not worried about World War III. So what you can do is make sure that your gas tank is full, and those old school reserve tanks. If you still have a gas car, fill those up too. Be very cautious about the energy that you're using. And also, I would say, for people who use your devices any and everywhere, start to be really cautious about just being on any and everybody's Wi-Fi. If you have Ethernet at home, I would say plug in to a hard line at home. Be cautious about your online your online hygiene. You want to protect yourself and you want to protect your family from not being hacked. So those are some of the direct things that we can do outside of, domestic or foreign terrorism. There's not much that we can do, but protecting upping your Wi-Fi hygiene, making sure your gas tank is always full. Those are some of the things that we can do personally. And I want to say one last thing, Mo, before you leave. I'm really grateful to all the people that shared my information and all these different things. And it's really funny to me, Monique, because I know what one of your goals are with this show is I had to tell people just this morning, I think on Threads, that they were calling me a witch on Bluesky. Like, how did you know this? They were calling me a witch. I said, well, I teach a series of security studies at Georgetown, which my PhD is actually in. And I was a former member of the International Security Advisory Board at Department of State for years. So
Right.
your girl has
Devontae,
receipts.
Devontae, put me in. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Keep going.
No, I'm just saying, like, this is not witchcraft. Yes, I'm from New Orleans, but I'm not sitting around, with a crystal over a map trying to,
No, no, no.
magically figure it out.
That's what expertise and education and time in the industry will give you. And I think people need to know that there are people who look like you and me, um, of the same sex,
Mhm.
who have this level of expertise and qualifications and are qualified to teach on the subject. And so, yes, that's a goal of mine. I'm not trying to introduce Dr. Nola Haynes. She's long been, she done been introduced, child. If you just find out about her, you're late, but welcome to the party. And understand that there have been so many occasions, especially in the past half a decade, where we've seen so much change and so much volatility in this country. I've been right there with you, Nola,
Yep.
and you have been always trying to bring us back or remind us what it means on the global stage, what it means for national security, what it means when we're picking these leaders. And we've been through some hard ass nights together, girl.
Yep.
I mean,
We
some
sure have.
very difficult times because you were right about it. And Kamala
Hmm.
was right about it, and Hillary was right about it, and now we're seeing it.
Yep.
And so, for those of you who voted thinking you were keeping yourself and your children and grandchildren out of needless, senseless wars by voting for this madman, congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will just say that none of this work is easy, Mo. Keeping the dam up is not easy. And the thing that breaks my heart, so many of my colleagues in the last administration, how hard they worked to
Yeah.
keep these dams up, and no one believed them.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we can talk about that at a different time. But everyone,
Mhm.
Instagram, Bluesky, Threads at Nola Haynes. Follow me, subscribe. I have a very fun project coming on Substack, and I will make that announcement very soon.
And we will look forward to the announcement. I love you, girl. Thank
Love you
you,
too.
Nola, for joining us. Dr. Nola Haynes, everyone. Thank you. So, guys, I give you the best. Nola teaches right now at Georgetown. She has worked in this area for many years. She's an expert. She's a PhD. She is a national security, not just expert, but enthusiast. She loves the work. She's worked for prior administrations and been an advisor on national security councils. And, she is available to us to understand what's happening and to make our decisions accordingly. People are asking, I've been getting a lot of just DMs and messages. They should impeach him. He did the wrong thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So here's my very short on the legal and political of it. Yep, you're right. And so what? You're right. And so what? He's not going to be impeached. beloveds. Not with this Congress. This Congress that some of you voted for and some of you refrained from voting, stayed home, stayed on the couch. And so now we have it. We got like a vote shy in the House and a few votes shy in the Senate. It's not going to happen. Impeaching someone means to call the question. We won't even get to the question. Not even though you see all these maggots, all these MAGA enthusiasts who are upset right now. Tucker Carlson's upset. Candace Owens is upset. MGT, whatever her name is, MTG, she's upset. So many people are worked up because there was a promise of there wouldn't be another war, there wouldn't be another incursion. Why are we getting in other people's business? People, some legitimately voted for him because of that. People, some use that as their reason to justify their vote when they really just didn't want to vote for the black lady. We know what the score is, but what I'm here to tell you is he's not going to be removed from office. He's not going to be charged federally because the Supreme Court has already said that he can commit whatever crime in office and that he shall not be charged for it and brought to answer for it while he is the president or after he's president for the crimes he committed while he was president. So I agree with Senator Markley, who said that is not where we should be putting our focus right now. That would be distraction. That would be diversion. We need to be focusing on ways that Congress can assert, reassert, or take control again of war powers. We need to figure out, as I've said to you guys many times, exactly how much Constitution we have left. That is what has to be done this week, while this week the Senate is looking at the big ugly bill and using this war, this creation of war diversion as cover to pass something that will change your lives, your life, your mama and them, your daddy and them, sister-in-law and them. If you have money, everybody you don't want to have to take care of. If you don't have any money, everybody who you're counting on the government to take care of, including you. If you have a child with special needs, or if you have special needs yourself, everything that makes this country great, because we, long time ago, vowed to take care of the least of these. We realized how powerful we are, how much money we had, still have. And we realized that we can, yes, assert power abroad, but we can also do it at home, because charity, the Bible says, begins at home. So if we can't take care of those who can't take care of themselves at home, who are we? That's what's going on in the Capitol this week. And we need you to still understand that that's what's happening. Even though we have an increased terror threat, we've been there before, remember? We've survived it. Even though we have a madman as a president and some idiots advising him, truthfully, we've been there before. Remember? He was here before. You voted him in again. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you just stayed home. Doesn't matter. We've been here before. And whatever is happening with that, we still have to take care of home. So I'm asking you to still call your members of Congress, call your senators, text, share the information, because what's happening with this bill that they're trying to pass, it is going to last longer than this conflict with Iran. It is. Iran, thankfully, does not have the power to blow up this entire country. Therefore, for those of you who remain safe from the onslaught of attacks from Iran, abroad and home, you still don't need your medicine. You need your insulin medicine. You need your blood pressure medicine. You need to be able to get your hearing aid. You need to be able to do all the things, take care of yourself, your spouse, your children. You need your special needs, family members to be able to get care. All of those things are on the line with this big ass ugly bill. So we need you to focus in. They don't want you to. They don't want you to, but we need you to, because that's happening this week in the Senate. And here's what else I want to talk to you about. And it's my last thing. I promise I'm going to do it in 2 minutes or less. It's time for us to offer you another edition of Be the Boss. For those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that my Be the Boss seminars, my entrepreneurship seminars, are what I offer to you as a way at very decreased cost for you to understand that God does not mean for you to be broke, that you are not always meant to work for somebody else, that you can work for yourself and not just survive, but thrive, that you can figure out what that thing is that you were always meant to do, that thing that is your passion that you would do for free, and you can do it in a way that brings you money, enough money for you to take care of your own household and the households of those you love, and to employ others. Be the Boss. We have offered Be the Boss in some way, shape, or form every year. I would say for the past 15 years, it may be longer than that. We've done in-person seminars all around the world. When the pandemic hit, we reoriented, we recalibrated, and we offered it to you online. I have had fantastic people to join me. The wealth manager, the wealth coach, Deborah Owens, has been on Your Media, Black person, the Black man extraordinaire. Roland Martin has joined. We've had fantastic hosts from all walks of life to come and join us as we offer this class again and again and again. And we haven't done it in a while. And frankly, I was holding off thinking, okay, there's enough going on in this world. They don't need me trying to sell them a class. I've got another class coming in communications, but this class, Be the Boss seminar, we've offered it to you as a basic class where you learn how to start a business if you've never started one before. We've offered it to you as kind of a launch class where you're trying to grow your business, scale your business, sell your business. And now we're offering it to you right now because I know that there are thousands and thousands upon thousands of federal workers who, without any warning and unjustifiably, were out of work. And while the courts are figuring it out, where you can go back to work, you all are trying to figure it out for yourselves. You're starting businesses, whether it's consulting businesses, right? Whether it is, oh, okay, but I also know how to fry a mean chicken leg, okay? If it is, I know how to do some hair, I always did. This government gig, it ain't it, okay? Or if it is, I've got 30 years of expertise in a particular area. There are people out in the world who need to know what I know, okay? But do you know you can't start wrong and expect a right outcome? You can't. You need to start your business the right way the first time. Incorporating, just going online, getting your LLC, your INC, your LLP, your your whatever you're choosing. That's not it. And that's a whole science in and of itself. But you also need to know what you need on board when you're starting your business. And then you need to know in this climate what you need to grow your business. You need to know in this climate how to just sustain your business, even if you're not trying to expand. And then finally, you need to know, okay, I'm done, made my money, I'm out, how to sell your business. You need the risk management tools. You need the crisis management tools. You know me. I've been with you all for a long time. Yes, I'm a crisis manager. Yes, I'm a risk manager. Yes, I'm a lawyer. I spent 3 decades teaching you how to stay out of trouble and then come into your rescue if you got in trouble. And then in later years, telling you what to do in advance if you don't ever want to have no trouble. That's what we're offering now. Be the boss in turbulent times is what we will be offering, a 4-week course. I'm giving you your advance notice now. If you're watching me and you see this, then you're going to get a discount. You're going to get 25% off. It's going to be MIMS 25. That's your code. MIMS 25. The course drops tomorrow. Not the course. We're not starting tomorrow. We're starting 30 days from now. We're going to give you plenty of time. But tomorrow, the course will be available. The link will be available. Go to my IG, come here, go to my Facebook. You can figure out how you can purchase your course. And I'm asking you to just share the information with someone who you love, who you know is out there scrambling, trying to figure out how they can survive. Be the boss in turbulent times is what you need. Of course, we're going to have guests coming back, one per week, maybe two. I don't know. We'll spend an hour together each week for 4 weeks in order to give you the information you need to not just survive, but thrive in these turbulent times. Okay? So be looking for that announcement tomorrow. Remember, your code, we're only posting it here, so you're the only ones who are going to know about it. MIMS, make it make sense. MIMS 25 is going to be your code. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being with us tonight. I appreciate you. If you've seen it scrolling along the bottom of the screen, then you know independent media, that's a bag, child. That's not anything we do on our own. There's a producer this very night who is helping me to stay on the air. We have guests. We have research. We want to bring you more. We want to bring you in-depth analysis. We want to bring you one-on-one experts in the field. We want to bring you some special VIP stuff. We can't do it without you. We live by advertisers, sponsors, and donations. So, as you see on the bottom of the screen, please support us if you appreciate the content. If you've been coming in, as my senior pastor would say, you've been coming in, sitting down, eating, belching, and then leaving, don't do that. Come on now. You can support us, PayPal, $ Monique Presley TV. You can support us, Cash App, $ Monique Presley TV. You can, as soon as YouTube answers our prayer, we'll be able to monetize right here on YouTube. But we appreciate you. No gift too great or too small. We appreciate them all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with us on this night, on this special broadcast of Make It Make Sense. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Until then, stay safe out there.